Another extraordinary thing that is happening is that people are starting to lose trust in the police force. In recent years, we have seen so much footage of police brutality that has been going on for many, many years, but now, thanks to technology, thanks to cell phones, thanks to how easily accessible cameras are, we are finally able to fully document the extent of the abuse that the people that we put in charge of our security have been abusing the power given to them. There is a shift coming, especially in the United States, a shift where people are no longer trusting their law enforcement for various reasons because the war on drugs and the war on poverty have become a war of drugs and a war of poverty. The police cannot be trusted. They have had a job. They've become very accustomed to how to do that job. They have become too comfortable with how they do the job. They have become too comfortable with their salaries, too comfortable with their level of commitment, too comfortable with what they can get away with. And that is the real issue that is not being addressed. We've seen the whole Black Lives Matters and Garner and so many other names, so many other buzzwords, so many other people that have been thrown up on social media and used and abused to perpetuate an idea of a racial war happening in the United States, when in fact it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with blacks. It has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. This is not a racial thing of blacks against whites. This has to do with a police force nationwide that is completely out of control. And the reason that it is affecting black people is because the police know they can get away with it. That is all it is. And that is a most shocking idea than racism, is that it's not because they hate black people, it's because they know that if they beat up this black person or they shoot him, then they can get away with it so much easier than if they shoot a white person or beat them up. It's not a race thing, it's more of a poverty thing, it's more of a cultural thing, that if a cop shoots a white person, there will be an investigation and there will be an outcry and there will be retribution for their job. While if they shoot black people, then there will be almost no retaliation whatsoever. And you could say, yes, there's the whole Black Lives Movement trying to fight for it, but at the end of the day, they take very few cases and parade them around, while there's still hundreds, if not thousands, of cases of police abuse that are going unreported and nobody cares about it. Because culturally, we have become accustomed to that being acceptable. The police have become accustomed to that being acceptable behavior. And we are reaching a breaking point. We are reaching a point where we say, the police, you have done enough. You have done too much. You are out of control. And the point that they've gone out of control is long past. The breaking point is what's coming up when people finally start to... When people finally say enough is enough and no longer want to fund the police, no longer want to give them money, no longer want to obey their orders and follow whatever it is that the police happen to tell them, because at the end of the day, the cops are paid for by us to protect us, to do what we tell them to do, not for us to do what they tell us to do. They are working for us and not the other way around. And I don't know at what point this stopped being the case, but we've long been in the state of affairs where police enforce the laws that help those in government, help those with power, and do not help those who are powerless, which is also a false dichotomy, because in truth, we do have the power, we do have the strength, we do have the numbers to fight back, to say enough is enough. And if we are actually able to wake up to reach this point where we are no longer willing to follow orders, we are the ones that make the decisions, then that is the point where change will come. I mean, for the last 2 years, I have been participating in the act of civil disobedience every week on a Wednesday, smoking weed in Washington Square Park in view of anyone who wants to see. An act of civil disobedience, a crime with no victims. No one is hurt, no one is victimized, no one loses anything from me committing this act of civil disobedience, and it is through acts of civil disobedience, of saying this is what I want to do, and I don't care about the law, and I don't care about your gun, and I don't care about your badge. I am going to do this anyways, because this is what I believe is right. The problem in this world is not that people do whatever they want. The problem is that people follow orders, because more crimes have been committed by people following orders than by people doing what they want.